read the minutes. Any corrections, any omissions? Could I have a motion for the confirmation of the minutes? Member Miller, seconded by Member Cousins. Matters arising from the minutes. At the last meeting, we had asked the University Hospital to provide us with an update on any board or subcommittee minutes in relation to the recruitment of the CEO. Colonel, you want to, I know we have received it, you want to just respond, or the PS, either of you?
Sir, thank you. So there's not much more to add to that. We would have provided the minutes, and we're willing to provide any other information that you so require.
All right, let me just, for the purposes of persons who are not physically here, but who would follow the meeting, there's a letter from the Permanent Secretary addressed to the Clerk of the Houses of Parliament, and the question was, the acting CEO of the University Hospital was asked to conduct the necessary research to ascertain whether there were reports that were submitted to the board by its Human Resource and Customer Service Committee other than the report mentioned in the board meeting minutes of July 19th, 2023. The answer, yes, reports were apparently submitted from the Human Resource and Customer Services Committee to the members of the board. We have been able to locate and identify addendum minutes of the board meeting held September 20th, 2023, September 23rd, 2023, October 3rd, 2023, and October 18th, 2023, which are attached for review. The second part of the question, minutes of meetings of this committee that were held after July 19th, at which matters concerning the recruitment of the CEO were addressed. Answer, the minutes of the Human Resource and Customer Service Subcommittee are attached for your review. These minutes contain the discussion surrounding the matters related to the recruitment of the CEO. So we have before us a number of documents related to the recruitment of the CEO, and we also had a submission from the former chairman of the committee, Mr. Chai Chung, which provided supporting documentation in relation to the recruitment of the CEO. There's a report from an entity, Great People Solutions, who were engaged by the board to identify, do the initial screening and recruitment for the CEO. There is also a copy of an email from the board requesting that members confirm and approve the process. And this seemed to have been done by round robin because there are copies from board members who indicated their support for the process to go ahead. So members, we have before us in detail the discussions that took place related to the recruitment of a CEO for the hospital. I mentioned at the last minute meeting that I was surprised that we could only find 2 paragraphs, and I knew there had to be more, and those minutes have been provided for us. So I don't know if members have any questions or comments on the documentation that is before us. Member Bunton.
Thank you, Chair. I haven't even had sufficient time to go through the quite substantial minutes of the HR committee and the additional information placed before us. I'm not even familiar with this style of minute keeping where there's an addendum to the minutes, as if you can separate some sections from the minutes which you don't want to go on the record. I don't know how that was done, but this paints, a quick scan of it paints a completely different picture from what we were led to believe at the last meeting. Like this chairman was on a frolic of his own, and that what he had presented to the committee the meeting before was not accurate. But what we see here is quite a comprehensive record of the board treating with the matter of recruiting a CEO in an international selection process. And if I were just to correct you, because I believe you referred to the chairman of the board as the chairman of the committee, and just for avoidance of doubt, it was actually Dr. Andre Foote,
Who is the chairman of the subcommittee?
who was the chairman of that committee, and I believe he was also deputy chairman of the board at that time. So there's you know, I'm a little surprised that the former CEO couldn't find anything, or the former acting CEO couldn't find anything more than the 2 paragraphs in those minutes, when we have here minutes, meeting after meeting after meeting, round robin, decisions, etc., which clearly support the submissions, the oral submissions from
The former chairman.
Chai Chong at the meeting.
When he came here. In fact,
A couple of
I'd
meetings ago.
I was going to say I'd go further. If you read some of the documents, I think the former chairman made it clear in some of these meetings that this process had to be one that could stand the test of scrutiny and rigor. And I think I have seen it maybe once or twice where he said that. And certainly from the reading of what is before us, you know, they went through a very detailed process. The engagement of an external HR professional to do the initial screening, recruitment, the board, there are very detailed minutes of the discussions related to the CEO. Some of them I would say are a little sensitive and maybe private, but very detailed discussions and engagement with the relevant stakeholders. So, you know, without a doubt, there's no question that a detailed process was followed by the board at the time in dealing with the recruitment of a then CEO of the institution. And so I think it is important for the record of the meeting, and certainly I know for the former chairman that this be placed on the record so that there is no question about the accuracy of his representation to the committee when he was here. I think this fully supports his testimony here before the committee.
Along those lines, Mr. Chairman, when people give public service, we should be careful to defend their reputation if it is warranted. And I clearly, from going through these documents, as I said, I've just gone through them very quickly because there are quite a few. But a very diligent effort was taken. And I would ask that, could we have a summary of this, that it can be read into the record? Yes, they're circulated to the members, but the minutes of the committee will not reflect this material, this content. Could we have someone, I don't know, maybe AI could do it, but better, maybe the clerk or somebody could just summarize this so that we can actually read the summary of it into the minutes of the committee.
All right,
I think we owe it to the service of the chairman and that the work that was done. In recruiting.
Yeah. I agree with you, Member Bunting. I'll discuss it with the committee clerk, and we can have a determination about how best to proceed. And anything that is tabled here is for the public record. And as I said, it's very important particularly when people are given voluntary public service. And members of boards give voluntary public service, and I know, the former chairman would have probably felt aggrieved that what was represented was not accurate, and now the record can establish that what he said was actually so. Anything else, Member Cousins?
Chairman, I would like to join in those sentiments. The former board chair came here of his own volition, and he provided us with a detailed account of what transpired. Subsequent to that, there were utterances that what he was saying was not accurate. And having these records here today serves as vindication for him. And in fact, he should be commended based on what we're seeing in the report, based on the approach that he took at the time. And that is what we want to see across all of the various agencies and government bodies, where people understand the importance of transparency and accountability. So I'm happy for this being here today, and I join with my colleague, Member Bunting, in asking for this to be read into the record by way of a summary. Thank you.
I mean, if I just raise one particular issue, questions were raised about what was being proposed as the salary for the CEO, and the former chairman indicated that he sought support from some private sector entities to top up the salary. And if you look at the minutes here, you will see that a very detailed process was followed, approvals from the ministry before even embarking on it, and certainly ensuring that he had approval to proceed in a particular way. And again, I would emphasize, he himself has said a number of times in these minutes that whatever this process was, they knew it would have to be subject to scrutiny, and the details of it suggest that it can be subject to scrutiny in terms of the process that was followed, and can withstand the scrutiny in terms of the process that was followed. In terms of matters arising, we had indicated at the last meeting that having invited the current CEO, Mr. Mitchell, to appear before the PAC, and him not having done so, we initiated a process to summon Mr. Mitchell. That process was followed, was executed. We have received no correspondence from Mr. Mitchell nor his lawyer indicating his absence, and in view of his absence from this meeting, there is a process that will be triggered, and I'm going to ask the senior legislative clerk, counsel of the parliament, Ms. Tiffany Stewart, to indicate the process that will be employed going forward.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. All right, for the purposes of the records of Hansard, please be advised that all legal and administrative protocols and procedures were undertaken, as indicated by the Chair, in accordance with the Senate and House of Representatives Powers and Privileges Act and the standing orders of the House of Representatives, specifically Standing Order 78-2, to facilitate the service of the summons on Mr. Fitzgerald Mitchell on Monday, June 8, 2026. For the purposes of the records, Standing Order 78-2 stipulates, if the committee desires to summon any witness, the chairman shall supply the name, residence, and occupation of every witness to the clerk of the Parliament at least 7 days before his evidence is required. The clerk shall then, subject to the directions of the Speaker, summon every such witness on behalf of the House. So that protocol and procedure was undertaken in accordance with the standing orders. Mitchell, pursuant to Section 5(1) and 6 of the Act, was ordered and summoned to appear, give evidence, and produce documents to facilitate the committee's continued examination of the Auditor General's performance audit report on ensuring value for money in public health procurement University Hospital of the West Indies. Again, for the purposes of the records, I will just do a brief synopsis of Section 5.1 of the Act and 6. Section 5.1, which is power to order attendance of witness, stipulates every house or any standing committee may, subject to the provisions of Section 9 and 12, order any person to attend before the house or before such committee and to give evidence or to produce any paper, book, record, or document in the possession or under the control of such person. Section 6, attendance to be notified by summons stipulates any order to attend, to give evidence, or to produce documents before either house or a committee or a joint committee shall be notified to the person required to attend or to produce documents by a summons under the hands of the clerk, issued by the direction of the appropriate authority, and that in that instance would have been the Speaker of the House of Representatives, as outlined in Standing Order 78.2. Section 6.2 goes on to state, in every summons under subsection 1, there shall be stated the time when and the place where the person summoned is required to attend, and the particular documents which he is required to produce, and the summons shall be served on the person mentioned therein, either by delivering to him a copy thereof, or by leaving a copy thereof at his usual or last known place of abode in Jamaica, with some adult person, and there shall be paid or tendered to the person so summoned if he does not reside within 4 miles of such place of attendance specified in the summons, such sum for his expense and as may be prescribed by the standing order. And the last, paragraph 6 of section 2 states, a summons under this section may be served by an officer of either house or by a constable. Now, Mr. Mitchell's failure to attend and to give evidence or to produce documents in accordance with the order constitutes an offense under Section 18A and Section 18B of the Senate and House of Representatives and Privilege Act, and may be reported to the House of Representatives as a contempt of Parliament. Again, for the records and for the purposes of clarity and completeness, Section 18A and B stipulates, any person who, A, disobeys any order may, by either house or a committee or a joint committee for attendance or for the production of papers, books, documents, or records, unless such attendance or production be excused as hereinafter provided, or refuses to be examined before or to answer any lawful and relevant question put by either house or a committee or joint committee, unless such refusal be excused as hereinbefore provided, shall be guilty of an offense and shall, on summary conviction before a resident magistrate, be liable to a fine not exceeding $200 and, in default, to imprisonment with or without hard labor for any term not exceeding 12 months. Now, evidently, the legislation is outdated. So I'm recommending, for example, the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, in conjunction with, let's say, the Law Reform Department, as well as the Office of the Parliamentary Counsel, undertake an extensive review of this legislation to facilitate, for the purposes of public accountability, an amendment to Section 18 of the legislation to enhance the penalties and to include the relevant sanctions. So probably through a comparative analysis of what is undertaken in regards to other Commonwealth jurisdictions pertaining to this similar legislation could be reviewed to implement harsher sanctions for the purposes of public accountability. So, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Stewart. And I think this is something that we are obviously legislators and have responsibility for ensuring that laws are up to date. But it is very concerning that a public official who is in a position of authority, having been invited first, not responded, having been summoned, no response either from himself nor his lawyer, is in contempt and in breach of the parliament. But as you would have heard, the fine is 200 Jamaican dollars. So that is clearly not a deterrent for persons who wish not to support the work of the committee. And the committee decided very early, I think after our first meeting, that it was important to have the CEO, the current CEO, here to answer questions that members had. And it's instructive to note that the former CEO came, a former board chairman and a former board member voluntarily availed themselves to the committee and gave evidence and provided support, which I think was helpful to the committee. But you have an officer, the CEO, who has refused. So that is something that we have to push for an urgent update of that particular provision, because it can't be that a committee designed to ensure accountability, transparency, and good governance will have its work subverted simply because a public officer refuses to appear before it. Member Cousins?
Thank you, Chairman. The permanent secretary is here, so I'd love to find out what internal measures are at your disposal or the disposal of the minister to treat with a situation like this and the board. P.S. It is, I've been on this PAC for the last 6 years. Never seen this before. We're speaking about a CEO serving the hospital and receiving compensation. And we are dealing with serious matters that need interrogation. And it's not only about criticism, but we are here to assist as well, as you have seen over the last couple of weeks. This is most unacceptable, and I sincerely hope that the minister is looking on, the board is taking note, and that serious disciplinary action must be taken as it relates to this particular individual and the office that he holds. It is going to cause serious doubt and cast a shadow over the operations of the hospital going forward if this person remains in that substantive role. So, whatever, we are constrained by the law here, which we must take steps to amend. But certainly, there must be internal measures that can be taken separate and apart from us here that is going to instill some trust and confidence in the university hospital. And this is most unfortunate. So, P.S., could you give us an idea as to what measures are available to both the board and the ministry to treat with a situation like this? Because us as parliamentarians, please, because I'm deeply concerned. I can tell you that much.
Member Cousins, I hold no brief for the minister, but I'm sure he would be deeply concerned as well. You know, disciplinary matters are not for public servants are not in the hands of the minister. The UHWI is governed by a board of directors. They impose discipline on their employees, not the central ministry or the office of the permanent secretary. What I can assure you is that I'll be writing as soon as I leave here to the chairman of the board to express the concerns and the angst of the PAC and to ask that due diligence be done and whatever disciplinary actions can be taken by the board of directors of the University Hospital of the West Indies after they do their due diligence, that be done. That's what I'm committing to do.
Okay, thank you, Pierce. Member Bunting?
You know, Pierce, I don't want you to write the chairman and use any euphemisms like concerns and angst. This behavior of the CEO is outrageous and unacceptable. It is contemptuous of Parliament's role in giving oversight to the executive, and it cannot be allowed to stand. Or we're just wasting our time coming here to attend PAC and other standing committee meetings. Mr. Chairman, there is the first sentence of the Great People Solutions, the search firm that was tabled here today, August 20th, 2023. It says, it became clear in the interview with the internal candidate that there were troubling indicators of a culture of non-compliance that still needed to be course corrected. Now, I'm assuming this internal candidate is who the CEO is here now. And if ever there was vindication of that committee's decision not to offer the role to this person, this is it here today. This is absolutely vulgar. This person feels they can operate with impunity, clearly protected by the administration if they do nothing. The litany of mismanagement that we have read in the Auditor General's report, and for this level of contempt to be offered to this committee is just plain unacceptable. And while the $200 may be a nuisance, but I still think we should go through with the conviction for contempt. At least let that be on the person's record, if that is the only thing to signal to the public that this committee is completely dissatisfied and we find this behavior absolutely unacceptable.
Member Miller?
I want to state my total disappointment with the actions or non-actions of action of the CEO. And I want to say no public official should treat a summons with disregard. It undermines accountability, it undermines transparency, and the respect for this parliament. And it sends a really, really bad signal to other public officials that are out there. And so I'm going to join the call for the chairman and the board to act and send a message, as well as for us to follow through with bring this matter before the court for the CEO to answer. You see, managing public resources demonstrates the highest level, when I say the highest level of responsibility and cooperation with parliamentary oversight. And if the CEO is disregarding that, it means that every other step within the organization that he's managing, he can disregard those rules and policies and nothing comes of it. Because if he's disregarding parliamentary oversight, he has no regard for anything else. And so we must take action and do something about it.
Thank you, members. I would say, having chaired a PAC for 6 years, I've been on a PAC prior to this. This is the first time we have a situation like this. As Member Bunting said, it is contemptuous of the role of Parliament. The role of Parliament is to hold the executive accountable. And when you look at the issues that arose from this report, the damning indictment on the management of the hospital for the CEO, who is the substantive CEO. He's the substantive CEO, earning a salary, being paid by the public purse. And to have that level of disregard to refuse an invitation issued, didn't come, summons issued, don't come, like on a nothing. Like we just sit down here as people who now have nothing to do. And we don't have a responsibility to ensure that there's good governance and accountability. It's wrong, and I reiterate what my colleagues have said, that a signal must be sent. Because it means that the next time we have a PAC and some public official don't feel like him want to come answer, he may say, all right, me just pay the $200 and go on, and everything good. Can't work, sir. Cannot work, sir. Cannot work, sir. Member Cousins.
Chairman, inherent in the Westminster model is a principle of honor, decency, accountability and transparency. And a public servant who is so contemptuous, I dare suggest should do the honorable thing and resign immediately from that post, or should be removed from that post by the authorities that have been duly constituted to do so. Anything short of that is a slap in the face of the Parliament of Jamaica, of the work of the Auditor General, and the people of Jamaica who are paying them hard-earned taxes. This individual should not be allowed to ever sit in that role again, in that capacity, or any other capacity. The message must be strong. If the message is not strong, then as you said, Chairman, it is going to open a floodgate, and it is going to undermine our work, the work of the Auditor General, and the work of everyone concerned. So the minister, he's the one who appoints the board, must act, and act decisively, because we are in perilous waters where this action is concerned. And I'm very much upset about how things have transpired. I'm not surprised based on the stance that he took earlier. But one would have thought that having been served with a summons, good sense would have prevailed and that he would have presented himself here today. So, PS, as Member Bunting said, we don't want any sugarcoating. I have said what I have had to say here, and the ministry needs to send a very strong signal. And that is all I have to say in respect of this matter.
Thank you, Member Cousins. Let me acknowledge in the Parliament today we have 30 students and 17 adults, 3 teachers, 14 parents from the Steertown Primary and Infant School in St. Anne. Yes? Okay. Let me welcome you to this meeting of the Public Accounts Committee. We won't be having a full sitting of the Parliament today, so this is their opportunity to see how governance works and how the processes of the Parliament work. So welcome to our Parliament. Members, we won't be able to go any further with the University Hospital of the West Indies. Sir P.S., I had indicated at the last meeting, sorry. Yes, St. Anne, Steertown in St. Anne. Oh, I don't know if that's why they came. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, we won't have a sitting today because of the biennial diaspora conference, but we will have a sitting tomorrow. P.S., there are some public concerns about the state of the Kingston Public Hospital and the non-functioning of an AC unit, which from what I've seen in the media has caused surgeries to be put off. Could you give us an update as to where things are at and when you expect things to return to normal?
Thank you, Chairman. as things stand today, 2 of the 4 main operating theaters at the Kingston Public Hospitals have been affected by the breakdown of this air conditioning unit. The repairs have been completed satisfactorily, but in order to put the theaters back in service, the other 2, they require 2 HEPA filters that have to be sourced, manufactured and sourced overseas. The order has
They have to be manufactured.
and yes,
Okay.
and sourced from overseas. They can't be sourced here in Jamaica. So we have ordered them, and we are expecting them to be air freighted into Jamaica. We have a commitment to get them into
Sorry, yes, go ahead.
We have a
please.
commitment to get these HEPA filters in by mid next week. After they are installed, then the theaters have to be cleaned, they have to be sanitized. But as it is now, surgeries are going on at the KPH. Elective surgeries have been scaled down, but emergency surgeries are going on. Another area that was affected was accident and emergency. That requires extensive repairs, but what has been done in the meanwhile, they're putting some cassette units and some split units. So those are working, and everything should be okay from the accident and emergency standpoint.
So you would anticipate what, in another 2 to 3 weeks, having gotten the parts here, you should have the ACs. And would this represent a permanent solution, or this is more a patchwork?
For now, is a little bit more than a patchwork, but what we are doing, we are in procurement now for a new system, air conditioning system for those areas. Because the system is old, it's very old, and it's in need of replacement. So while we're doing that, we're in procurement, in the middle of procurement now, to get a new system to outfit those areas at the hospital.
All right, thank you, Pierce.
Thank you.
Ms. Stewart, I was going to call on you just to ensure that we, for the purposes of the minutes and the meeting, that we have accurately recorded any and all decisions that are necessary to trigger the process in relation to Mr. Mitchell. So I'm going to ask you to guide us in that regard.
Thank you, Chair. As indicated in the summary, specifically stated that failure to attend to give evidence or to produce documents in accordance with this order constitutes an offense under Section 18A and B of the Senate and House of Representatives Powers and Privilege Act, and may be reported to the House of Representatives as a contempt of Parliament. So first step, we have to go ahead now and produce a report to the Speaker, and the correspondence probably can be attached to that particular report from you, Chair, directly to the Speaker, outlining the legal and administrative protocols that were undertaken to facilitate the service of the summons on Monday, June 8, 2026, and what, unfortunately, is the outcome and the recommendation for probably reference to the Ministry of Legal and Justice and Constitutional Affairs for the amendment of the legislation. So that's the first thing. A report done, drafted by the committee clerk, supported by correspondence from you, outlining the issues of legal and policy and administrative contention to the Speaker of the House. I'm also thinking as well to send a message to the CEO. Correspondence also needs to be sent from the Speaker of the House to Mr. Mitchell as well, to say, listen, you have been ordered, you have been summoned, you have breached, you are now in contempt, and what must be undertaken in regards to the legislation. Obviously, the Parliament is confined within the ambits of the legislation, where you have the $200 to be paid. That's the most that can be done right now. However, I'll engage in necessary consultation in terms of the procedure after the correspondence has been dispatched by the Speaker or the Clerk of the Houses to Mr. Mitchell to trigger specifically this issue in the parish court.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I just want to ensure that we follow all the legal procedures to ensure that the sanctions that we feel very strongly about should be applied. Members, in terms of, sorry, go ahead,
So
Member
in
Bond.
that regard, Mr. Chairman, I just want to to be clear on the decision of the committee. The decision is that you will be empowered to write to the
Speaker.
Reporting this matter and asking for the necessary steps to be taken to follow through with the contempt of court.
Yes, so I would ask the
Or
committee to
contempt
support
action,
that I will ask the committee clerk to prepare a report for my signature to the Speaker. Okay, the committee's signature to outline what we have done so far, the fact that Mr. Mitchell is in contempt, and that the proceedings to hold him accountable go through
Go
as
forward.
well.
And I think maybe you should just take a formal vote at the committee to.
Yes, so
For the
I'll
record.
put it to the members of the committee, asking for your support for us to move in that direction. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Seabright?
Yes, I'm in favor, Mr. Chairman, and just as an addendum, I think it's important that we put on the record that the governance reforms that have been pushed through by this administration, and certainly the administration of Bruce Golding, led to you being chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, having the opposition also chair the PAAC, which I believe is chaired by Mr. Bunting. And of course, we should also know other governance reforms that have really enhanced transparency and accountability, including, of course, the establishment of INDECOM and and the Integrity Commission. So it's just important to put on record those facts. But of course, the situation as it stands now is egregious, and I believe we should take action. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just remind you, you're correct in highlighting what the former Prime Minister indicated in terms of chairing the committees. He also went a little further and said all the other committees should be chaired by opposition members as well. You seem to have conveniently forgotten that one. The two, the P, and that is, you know, we just came from a Commonwealth conference in Trinidad on PACs. It is the norm in the Commonwealth jurisdictions that the chair of both the PAC and the PAAC are opposition members. In fact, in some countries in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Turks and Caicos, it's actually the opposition leader and the Cayman, the opposition leader himself, who chairs the Public Accounts Committee. So good, some good measures, Member Seabright, were initiated by former Prime Minister Golding. I would hope, but then many of them have been reversed by the current administration. Oh, Ms. Stewart, sorry, go ahead.
For the purposes of accountability and transparency as well, the minutes, I'm recommended that the minutes of today's meeting be prepared and attached to the report for the
Okay.
purposes of the speaker's
Sure.
review.
Okay, that will be done. All right, members, in terms of the other matters that the Auditor General has tabled and that we will be considering, the Auditor General's Information Technology Audit Report on the Support Jamaica website for Hurricane Melissa Relief Initiative that was tabled in, I believe, in February or March. We have gotten a response from the entity, so we will be arranging a meeting there. Also, the Auditor General's Compliance Audit Report on Governance, Procurement Activities, and Receipt and Distribution of Starlink Devices for Hurricane Melissa Relief Initiative. That report was prepared, and we have gotten a response from the entity. The Auditor General's Performance Audit Report on the management of the Production Initiative Program by RADA, that was retabled. It was tabled before in the last parliamentary year. It was retabled on May 12th. We are awaiting the response, which should be provided, I think, today, the 16th. And then the Auditor General's Hurricane Melissa Relief Initiative Audit Compliance Audit Report, Financial Management of Donated and National Disaster Funds, and the implementation of the Roof Restoration Program. That was tabled on May 12th. The deadline for the response is today, the 16th. So those are the matters that we will be considering in the next couple of weeks before our Parliament goes on recess. Let me thank the Ministry of Health, the staff members from the University Hospital. You have been here about 5 times, and I'm sure you're very happy that you won't have to come back. I hope that all the recommendations that have been made and the reforms that have been started continue. Dr. Powell, you have a significant responsibility on your hand to follow through. I know you are there for about a 6-month period, so that you leave there, whoever comes after you has a strong template to continue the work, so that this institution, which is our premier health institution, returns to a standard that we can be proud of, not just as Jamaicans, but it is a regional institution as well. So thank you for being here and for cooperating with the committee thus far. Can I have a motion for the adjournment? Member Cousins?
Chairman, let me just join with your sentiments towards the staff of the University Hospital of the West Indies and the Ministry of Health. We have been here for a number of occasions, and you have been most cooperative. You have been most cooperative. And as the chairman indicated, we hope that the reform process continues and that you're able to get things right so that we don't have to come back here a few years from now to revisit these same issues. The process that we're embarking on now is one where we actually are here to interrogate and to assist as best as possible, not to necessarily critique for the sake of critiquing. And I hope that you're able to get things right, because a well-functioning university hospital is so critical to so many patients who are in need of decent health care. And so, all the best going forward. And thank you very much for the time and the effort that you have displayed. Chairman, I wish to move the motion for adjournment.
Sorry, I'm going to ask you to hold on the motion for adjournment, because the Senior Research Officer of the Parliament has provided a summary of the University Hospital of the West Indies board minutes, board meetings, August 20th, August 21st, and August 28th, 2023. I'm going to read the summary because, as Member Bunting said, it's important to place in the record of the meeting what took place. The following summary was prepared by the Research Department and is based on 3 documents submitted to the committee concerning the recruitment and selection of a Chief Executive Officer for the University Hospital of the West Indies. These documents comprise: 1, an email dated August 21st, 2023, entitled UHII Board Urgent, seeking board ratification by way of a round-robin vote to proceed with finalizing contract negotiations with a candidate selected through the CEO recruitment process. 2, an extract from the final report prepared by Great People Solutions, dated August 20th, 2023, entitled Recruitment Services for the Chief Executive Officer Role at the University Hospital of the West Indies, which outlined recommendations arising from the recruitment exercise and proposed next steps following the selection of a preferred candidate. And 3, email dated August 28, 2023, entitled CEO Selection, from the chairman of the UHII board to directors, which provided an update on the round-robin voting process and the outcome of the board's consideration of the selected candidate. The documents indicate, pursuant to a decision of the UHII board at its meeting of December 14, 2022, the Human Resource and Customer Service Subcommittee was tasked with identifying and recruiting a new Chief Executive Officer. To support this process, the board engaged Great People Solutions as an external recruitment consultant to conduct the recruitment exercise and prepare a report on the outcome of the process. According to correspondence dated August 21st, 2023, the Human Resource and Customer Services Subcommittee completed its recruitment exercise and identified a preferred candidate for the position of Chief Executive Officer. Directors were advised that the selected candidate had been identified through the process outlined in the Great People Solutions report and were requested to provide ratification through a round-robin vote to allow the board to proceed with finalizing contract negotiations with the candidate. The documents further reflect that board members expressed support for proceeding with the appointment process. Responses included endorsements of the recommendation to proceed with contract negotiations and approvals to move forward with the selected candidate. In correspondence dated August 28, 2023, the chairman of the board advised directors that concerns had been raised regarding the timing of the request, particularly because the new UWI principal had not yet been seated on the board, as well as concerns regarding whether the recruitment process could withstand scrutiny. The chairman stated that the vice chancellor and the incoming principal were consulted, provided with the relevant documentation, and afforded additional time to review and comment on the process. The chairman further indicated that the Human Resource Subcommittee had sought to ensure that the recruitment process complied with government protocols, was adequately documented, and could withstand both external audit review and broader scrutiny. The correspondence also noted that one member of the subcommittee recused themselves from the process due to the possibility that any future external audit could originate from that member's ministry. According to the chairman's update, the round-robin vote resulted in a significant majority of board members endorsing both the recruitment process and the proposal to proceed with finalizing a contract with the selected CEO candidate. The Great People Solution report also contained recommendations relating to the position and the organization. These included recommendations that the board address concerns regarding a culture of non-compliance within the organization, review the organizational structure to reduce the CEO's span of control, redesign the CEO's job description to better reflect the complexity of the role, and pursue measures to support the sustainability of a more market-driven compensation structure. The report further outlined proposed next steps, including board confirmation of the selection, engagement with the Minister of Health and Wellness, finalization of funding and payroll arrangements, negotiations of a draft job offer, completion of background checks, execution of an employment contract, processing of work permits and TRN applications, and onboarding and transition arrangements for the selected candidate. In summary, the documents demonstrate that the UHII board, acting through its Human Resource and Customer Service Subcommittee and assisted by an external recruitment consultant, undertook a CEO recruitment exercise, sought board ratification through a round-robin process, considered concerns regarding the timing and integrity of the process, and ultimately recorded majority board support for proceeding with contract negotiations with the selected candidates. So, members, I'm asking for ratification of this report, which was prepared by the Parliament's Research Committee, which summarizes the plethora of documents that were put before us today. Can I have that ratification, please? Those in favor?
I so moved.
Okay. So we have moved by Member Miller, seconded by Member Bunting. Those in favor? Any against? All right, the ayes have it. All right, any further questions?
Could I just ask that that be circulated to members, they like the soft
Yes.
copy as well?
Sure, and the committee clerk will circulate this as well. All right, Member Cousins, you had moved for the adjournment, and seconded by Member Miller. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I appeal to you, obey the road code, pay your ticket on time, and only go to court if the ticket is being contested. Close to 80% of matters coming to the parish courts are for traffic breaches. Let's work together to make our roads safe and ease the burden on our courts.
Motorists, certificates of fitness are now digital. Here's how it works. First, make your payment at TAJ inline or online. Then, take your receipt along with your vehicle to an Island Traffic Authority service hub for physical inspection. A valid email address is required to receive your digital fitness. Once the inspection is complete, your certificate number will be sent directly to your email. To access your digital certificate, visit cgds.gov.jm/fitness, enter your certificate number and the chassis number, and view your certificate online. New validity periods are here. New vehicles, 5 years. Vehicles 10 years or less, 3 years. And those older than 10, 1 year. No more paper certificates. Just secure, digital access, anytime, anywhere. For more information, connect with us via email at info@ita.gov.jm or on social media at Island Traffic Authority.
Hey, I'm Abijah, the Rootsman. Today, I want to talk to you about something powerful. Peace. Peace isn't just the absence of conflict. It's about kindness, understanding, and respect. It starts with us. Every choice we make can build bridges or burn them. Let's choose peace in our words, our action, and our hearts. Peace begins with you. Together, we can create a brighter and safer future for everyone. Join me. Let's be that change we want to see.
Zoom in on the nutrition facts. It there in the table on the side or the back. If you check out the servings, just do the maths. Not taking too much, figure below the facts. Zoom in on the nutrition facts. It there in the table on the side or the back. Take note of the sodium, the sugars and the fats. 5% or less in the on the right track. You for zoom in on the nutrition facts. It there in the table on the side or the back. Vitamins, minerals and vitamin 2, 20% and more that good for you. Nutrition facts. You feel check the nutrition facts. You feel check the nutrition facts. Less sugar, less salt, intake and less fat. You feel
a message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Jamaica Moves, the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, the National Health Fund, and Japan.
The last 30 years have seen an epic battle over climate change.
As close to scientific fraud as you can get.
Defamation. It's a scandal. It's absolutely outrageous. Slander. I'm going to say it bluntly, deliberately bent.
It's made front-page news. It's dragged scientists out of their ivory towers and into the messy world of politics and big business. But after a monumental struggle, what's emerged as one